Hi, I'm Pekka Parkkila from ELY Center, water specialist and specialized in drought management and flood management. So when we think about drought adaptation, one thing the farmer should first think is to create some kind of a drought management plan for his or her farm. Meaning that think of a situation that when a drought comes, how do you know when the drought is coming and what are the steps that you need to take to go over the drought period. And also make it in different stages. So the first one is always, okay, we know that it might be a drought summer. What do? We probably store water or something. And when the situation escalates more, the drought becomes even more serious, then what are the next steps to do? And there's actually a Australian example of this management. So the Australian system works kind of the way that farmers get a substitute over the droughts, and the Australian government relies on that farmer need to have a plan before the drought, during the drought, and then the aftermath of the drought. And they need to provide those information. How are they gonna deal? What are the actions that they're gonna take during those? So that kind of approach in Finland should also be beneficial, I think. Now, what are the actual things that you can do during the drought are quite limited. So the main actions happens before the drought happens, and we generally want to think, okay, you need to have the possibility to irrigate. That's you need to have the equipment. Then where the water comes, and there are several ways to improve your water retention on the farm. We in Finland, we want to think that the nature-based solutions are the best way to go for it. They are usually the kind of the cheapest and most reliable way to do that, low maintenance and such. And examples for these would be structures like swales, which are dugouts dug alongside the contour lines that, in short, work in a way that when the rainfall comes, it will stay on the dugout and then seep into the soil and stays there. In contrast to, it just would roll over to the nearest ditch and go forward there. Or a two-stage channels with the addition of subsurface dams or stuff like that. The logic over any one of these is that you use the terrain that you have and the way the water works on your land, and then you make those necessary steps there to slow down the water and probably collect it into the place that you can apply, take it to the irrigation use from there. So drought risks in Finland, generally we think that it's and it still isn't the most prominent problem considering water and agriculture. It's still floods that is the most important. However, I dare to say that every year there's at some level of crop losses in Finland. For example, 2018, it was an extremely dry summer. In Finland, we had a 400 million euro crop losses during that year. And one can think that it's somewhere less than that annually. So yeah, it's important even in the country level, but also I think that measured in the farmers' own livings. So uh, basically, the climate change forecast in Finland means that there will be more diversity in the when the rain comes. So you can't just rely on the rains that will come during the summertime. So you need to think more broadly and how are you gonna provide water for your crops and so like that. So in Finland, how the climate is gonna change is that that the rains it will rain more, but it will rain mostly on autumn and in winter. And when it rains in winter, it comes as water, not in snow form, and that creates us the so-called snow drought situation. And how that relates to the actual drought during the summertime is that we don't have the spring melts that we usually have had, and and that will create the problem that our rivers won't have enough water. The soil is going to dry near to the field capacity much earlier, and that creates the risk that if there is no rainfall during May or early June, then the crops might suffer from it. So those are the critical months, May and June, that Finnish farmers need to think that how we can provide more water to the fields. So first and foremost, the number one priority is to take care of your soil on your fields, meaning that there is good carbon content, so that it will keep the nutrients in, but also the water as much as possible. And when you get that covered, you start to think on, can I have a irrigation system going on, or do I need to change the crops that I'm farming to some more drought resilient versions of them. After you got the irrigation system checked, you need to think on where the water is going to come from there. Good if you have the good supply of water, let's say a river or a lake next to you that has a good quality over summer. But at least in many cases in southwestern Finland, we have the situation that during the summer months, when the streams are extremely dry, it means that there is almost zero water flow in those rivers. And in those situations, if you want to irrigate and all of your neighbors on the river banks want to irrigate, it might come to a situation that there is no water to irrigate on. So that brings to a third step that you could take, is that you need to consider water storage of some sort. That might be a pool or a tank where you store the water, but those things come a bit expensive already. And after you got that covered, you can always think that if you don't, if you can't make the supply of water from the river or lake, what would be your tertiary water source? Could you store the melting waters? Could you store snow or ice? Could you dig a groundwater wells to get you over those critical months on the summer? And one thing I want to point out is also the effect of shade on the evaporation of water during the summer months. Basically, one thing you need to consider is that that during the summer months, when the temperatures are high, the water also already evaporates more. And if you provide shade, let's say for your irrigation pond, then the evaporation rate will be less, meaning that you need less water, you need to storage less water to meet the water demands of your crops.